Hello artists, welcome back to the Paint and Sip Uganda channel. Thank you for ordering this Swan pre-sketched canvas, and let us get started to paint it. We are going to start with painting the color yellow using our undercoat brush, as you see in the video right now. So you may not need a color palette at this point. You just dig your brush into the yellow from the paint themselves, and using horizontal strokes you run it over the medium portion, the middle part of the canvas. And you see I have just dropped my undercoat brush into some water just so I can mix up the yellow to make it a little bit thin and diluted. Why? It's because I am painting the background of our painting. Yeah, so you see I keep dipping my brush, just the tips of my undercoat brush, into the water cup, and I pick up some little water and I'm able to run it over the thick paint and dilute it so that I am able to have a very thin layer for the background. Why is this important? So that we are able to see our pre-sketches even after we have painted through the background. As you see there, with the layer of paint that I've put in, you can still see the pre-sketches. Anyway, let us move on to our next color, which is red. I'm still using the same brush. I didn't even wash it. So I start by putting red on the sides of the canvas, just because, you know, we want it to make that transitional effect. So it starts out really dark on the outside, and then as it's going in, remember it's going to end up meeting the yellow. Actually, I'm also mixing the red with some water. You saw me get some water, put it on the color palette, and I'm mixing the red just so we can have the layering that I talked about. Yeah, because our paint is really thick and it's actually acrylic paint, so that means we can dilute it with water. So that's what I keep doing with the color palette. That's what I'm doing right now. You see that? Mixing it up so that it comes out with a thin layer. Anyway, I was telling you about why we have to have the sides really dark and the center yellow. So if the sides are really dark red and the center is yellow, what do you think has to happen between the darkness and the light yellow? Orange has to happen. So we want that transition to also happen. Anyway, at this point I'm still using the red, and you see what I'm doing? I'm still keeping the horizontal strokes, and I just want it to meet the yellow at a certain point. I used a very thin layer once again because we have to apply thin layers so that we are able to see the pre-sketches at the back. So I've washed out my brush and I'm drying it with my cloth, and I'm digging once again into the yellow. Now you see how I'm applying it. The yellow is merging with the red to make an orange effect, and that is what we want. So make sure you're also very keen and you achieve something like that. Still, we are keeping our horizontal strokes. So see that? And then I wash it out because I feel like it has picked up a lot of red. So I wash it out, I dry it. I believe I'm drying it now. Yeah, just that the camera didn't catch that, but I was drying out the brush, and I am going to, now I'm drying it. Now I dig into some more yellow, and I emphasize the center. I'm still using horizontal strokes, and I'm still using the big brush, which can also be called the undercoat brush. So towards the edges I merge that, and you see now we have that beautiful sunset background looking effect, and it's very thin that you can still see through that. Anyway, allow your painting to dry. Give it about 5 to 10 minutes to dry. That is very important, so that when we go to the next part our background is not wet. Okay, next I'm using white with the detail brush. The detail brush is the smallest brush, and I am making a small circle for our sun in the center of our canvas. Above there was a line for land. You will see it later, but if you ordered the canvas, you can see that. Anyway, I've made the small circle about maybe 1.5 centimeters in diameter, and after that I come down and I do reflections with the white. You notice I don't pick up more white. I use the same white which was in my brush to make the effects. Why? Because I need it to be fainted lines, faint lines. So anyway, I wash my brush, I dry it, and now I'm digging into the black. What am I doing with the black? I'm emphasizing the swans. I've started with one of the swans, and very carefully, still using my detail brush. This brush is so good for precision. If you want to be precise, this is the brush that you use. So I encourage you to take your time. First, start by making the shape of the swans. Paint the lines, paint the lines of the swans, and take your time, get it all neat. Paint the sides, and once you have the shape together, then you can fill it in with the black. And that is exactly what I am doing right now. Once again, I want to emphasize that you take your time. Please don't rush these things. This video is short because it has been fast forward and edited, but in real life I took my time while painting this artwork. I did not rush it, so do the same thing, please. Don't rush the process. Take your time, enjoy each brush stroke. I keep telling you people, you're creating magic. Artists create magic, so enjoy each brush stroke. Enjoy watching your canvas change and transform into a masterpiece. So that's what I'm doing. I'm taking my time with each swan. I'm being precise with my detail brush, and then once I'm done with the sides, I color within the lines, just like what we were told in kindergarten. So once I'm done with the swans, look at how beautiful they look. I go over the land which is at the background, at the back of the painting. So first I fill in that horizontal line. I don't forget the sides, I do the sides as well. And after that, I fill in the raggedy parts that would speak to a viewer that this is land from a distance, So those parts are a little bit, they're not straight necessarily, they're bumpy, and that's what I'm doing. Once I'm done with that, I come to the foreground and I fill in the land, the shape of the land in the foreground. Once again, I'm just doing the sides, I'm mapping it out. After I'm done with that, I do the little spear-like plants that are on the left side of my canvas. This is also according to my sketch. If you got this artwork, you have the sketches there, so just fill it in and be happy with what you're creating. Okay, next I'm going to the stem of the trees and also the branches. The trees are on my right hand, the right hand side of my canvas, and I take my time, I fill it in. You notice I've not changed my brush. I'm still using the detail brush and I'm still using the color black. But are you seeing how the artwork is transforming? It's even unbelievable. Anyway, I'm still following my pre-sketches and I'm just going over the branches and the stems of the leaves. And so next I rest my baby brush. I rest the small brush in the water cup and I get the big brush and I now fill in the land. Yeah, you see how the big brush is helping us now define. We had used the small brush for the sides, and now we are using the big brush to fill in the actual land. And look at that, my oh my, what a difference it makes. So yeah, okay, then I get back my detail brush, and now I'm going to put little leaves on each of the trees. You see, I'm emphasizing you to look at that because I want you to see that portion. That motion. That motion, you see, I'm even bringing it closer so that you see. I'm just tapping the brush on the canvas. So when you make those repeated taps, eventually they look like they're leaves. And you see, I'm even adding branches where I want branches added. So feel free to also add branches on your artwork if you feel like you need them. If you feel like you don't need them, then it's okay. By the way, the best brush to use when you're making this part of the leaves is the medium-sized brush. It's not the one that I'm using at the moment, but it would give you also a really good effect. But if you don't want to use it, you can continue and use the detail brush. After the leaves, I come down and I make vertical curved strokes for the grass. Yeah, as you see that, are you seeing how nice it's becoming? Oh my god. By the way, this artwork is one of the most beautiful ones. I love it so much. Yeah, so look at that, my oh my. Okay, next I've washed my brush, and now I pick up green, and I literally repeat the same step as I did with the black. I go over the stem of the leaf of the trees. I go over the stem of the trees, but it's not thick. Yeah, you see, I'm allowing the black part to exist. Why is this green necessary? It is necessary for shadows, because when our painting has a bit of shadows, it has the black, it has the green, it looks more realistic. And now you see I've also taken it down, and actually when I'm in the down part, I'm using when I am painting the grass, I'm still using the vertical curvy motions. But when I'm painting the land part, I'm using both horizontal strokes and vertical strokes for that effect. And I also go over those spear shaped plants on the left. Yeah, and then I repeat the same motion on the leaves. You see that? Still, I'm very keen and aware that I want my black to exist in the background. So that means the green does not necessarily have to cover all the black. But are you seeing what a difference it makes? It makes such a big difference. So the green is not necessarily to cover up the black, no. The green is just to be like a transparent effect, like for shadowing, for toning, for making our artwork more realistic. That's the purpose of the green. And my oh my, look at that. Wow. And we are done. This is fantastic. Okay, let's move on to the next step. I wash my brush, I dry it up, and I pick up some black and I put it on my color palette. I mix the black with the red on my color palette to make a brown. The brown is going to help me create shadows. So I pick up very little brown so that I'm leaving just faint lines at the bottom of my swans. So this brown effect that we have created with red and a small portion of black to make brown, this brown effect is helping us to make the shadows under the swans. And as you can see, I'm using the faint, it's not a thick brown that I've picked up, yeah, it's a very, very small amount, and I'm just going over it to leave realistic shadows below my swans. I'm actually emphasizing that too. Okay, I believe now we are done and we are ready to sign our artwork. So I wash my brush, I dry it up, and I am picking on color white. The reason why I thought color white would be a good color to sign my artwork with is because we used it on the sun, and the sun is like one of the center points of this particular painting. So I felt like white could also be a good color to choose to use to sign. Although I noticed that you can use any color to sign, by the way. You could use the black to sign, you could use green, you could even use yellow, but I advise if you're to use yellow, you paint on a background which is not yellow. Maybe you can paint in the middle of the swan. You can sign your artwork in the middle of the swan, or you can sign in the grass. But yeah, I used black and I signed it Bella Art because I've been your instructor, Bella Art. And I hope you have enjoyed painting this beautiful swan pre-sketched artwork with me. This is the final look of how it looks. Gorgeous. Okay, feel free to order any of our other items from Paint and Sip Uganda, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye.